Hey guys, I am Nicole. If this is the first time you're seeing me, I have a yoga channel on YouTube where I offer a whole bunch of classes, and I've been getting a bunch of questions about my lifestyle and where I've trained and do I offer trainings and retreats and things like that. And so I wanted to, in celebration of reaching 10,000 subscribers, thank you so much for 10,000, and actually I'm at 12 now, I think, almost. So in celebration of that, I've compiled a list of questions that you guys have asked, and I'm here to answer them. So thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't practiced with me, go check it out. Before I get started, I want to note that I am wearing one of my closest friends' really incredible brands, and she did not ask me to post this or to share this, but I am such a believer in promoting people who are doing really cool things. Her brand is called Girl Get After It, and she's supporting women everywhere that are doing really awesome things and quote unquote getting after it. So if you don't follow them on Instagram, check them out, Girl Get After It, and make sure to get some gear because every piece of clothing, a percentage of it goes to some sort of charity, and the charities change all the time. So, okay, that was that, and this is my favorite sweatshirt, and I'm glad that I could wear it. This is where I get awkward. I get awkward with transitions. I'm pulling up the questions. Pulling up the questions that you guys asked. And these are in no particular order. Here we go. So, maybe I should have put these in some particular order. I kind of just went for this. Are you ever going to come to Melbourne? That's a great place to start. I love Australia, and I have spent a decent amount of time there over the past couple of years, and I've still never been to Melbourne. I've been to the Gold Coast and Sydney and Byron Bay, which is like Byron has my heart. I will definitely be back as soon as we are allowed to travel again. It is on the radar. I typically do spend a good chunk of the year on that side of the world when it's snowy and cold here. So we'll keep you posted. Okay. Will you continue teaching online classes after COVID? Yes, absolutely. This has been kind of a fun little bit of an accident that my channel has blown up in the way that it has, or that it's growing in the way that it's growing. I really just thought I was going to be uploading some videos and sharing some links with family and friends, and here we are. 10,000 plus subscribers later. So thank you. I couldn't be doing this without you guys. So as long as people are practicing with me, I will be uploading videos. Yes is the answer to that. Which kind of leads me into my next one of the questions that's on here. Part of the YouTube journey came from me taking an online course through Yale University for digital media and marketing. And I'm really becoming interested in how to market myself, how to market my offerings, because I am leading retreats and going to be launching some yoga trainings and things. And so I wanted to get really refined at marketing my own brand, because in some ways I am my own brand. And so YouTube kind of came about at the same time as I was finishing up that course. And so it was a happy accident, and at the same time I was learning about marketing online, and so it was kind of inevitable that some of those tools became useful, and here we are. So cool. So people have been asking, one of the questions on here is what I do outside of yoga, or am I just a yoga teacher? Do I do other things? So I have my hands in lots of different pots. It is the Gemini in me. I'm an endless learner. I'm a total training junkie. I'm constantly enrolled in online courses and traveling for workshops and doing all sorts of things. But I am a wedding photographer, so hence the equipment that I have to help me create these videos. Again, another part of the happy accident that I had the resources to create professional quality videos. I am a wedding photographer and sometimes work with brands and things like that. You can find my photography work on Instagram at NicoleWild_photo. And then, like I said, I recently finished a course for online digital media and marketing. And so I'm helping some businesses run their social media and doing photos for them simultaneously. And then, yeah, I'm a yoga instructor is kind of the other side of that. So I spend a lot of my summers are totally booked out with weddings and photography work. And then winter is the time where I'm teaching 20 classes plus per week, and then also doing a ton of travel and studying yoga and being a part of yoga trainings and different offerings like that. I am releasing my first retreat. Well, it's been released, Panama, and some of you YouTubers have signed up to join me in Panama, which is very exciting. And retreats are going to be kind of the next big push for my business. So I'm hoping to do 3 or 4 per year in different parts of the world. And what I'm hoping for, what I'm creating, is that there's kind of a teaching-like component to the training or to the workshops, not trainings, to the retreats, so that if you're interested in kind of like teacher training type material or just want to deepen your practice but don't necessarily have the time or the interest in going to a month-long 200-hour training, that you can come to a week-long retreat and get all the benefits and relaxation time of retreat with also some workshops and things that are more of that like training material. So that's kind of next steps for me and my business, and that kind of answers several questions here that came in. One of them, kind of an offshoot of that, someone asked, how did you build your business? And I would say it's been baby steps, one foot in front of the other. Every day has been kind of a new venture of like, okay, what's one little teeny baby step forward today? And to be honest, when I first started doing all of this, it wasn't with some big end goal in mind. The goal gets bigger and bigger, the vision grows as my business grows and as I learn more and as I educate myself more. So building my business it started with getting my degree in photography, and then starting to do some weddings. And then during school, I totally fell in love with yoga and with movement in general, and gained an interest of taking care of my body in a way that I never had before. And it was between sophomore and junior year of college that I went to Greece and did my first yoga training with Embodied Flow. That's another question on here, and I'll jump more into that in a minute. Came back and started teaching right away. I've been teaching for about 5 years now. I've taught over 2,000 classes, which is totally insane to me. And then started leading workshops and things locally in my town. I live in Bozeman, Montana, and it's a pretty small town. It's not so small anymore. It's growing very rapidly. But I started leading workshops and all sorts of different types of events here to do with health and wellness, including an annual event that's kind of a mixing pot of health and wellness and fitness classes. And I would say a big piece of building my business has been collaboration and reaching out to people and saying, hey, do you want to partner up and host this workshop together? Or, like, I'm such a like idea creator, and then the next step is you have to jump on your ideas and make them happen, even if they don't all perfectly come into fruition as you kind of first created them in your head. But I would say that's my biggest piece of advice at this point is when you have an idea, jump on it and move it forward. And my kind of go-to mantra, especially at the moment, I'm working on a massive project that I can't even speak about yet, so I'm not even going to go there, but my kind of mantra at the moment is jump on the idea and then follow it as long as it's in flow. So as long as you're doing the right thing, when things kind of seamlessly start to happen when you're making the effort to move it forward. So follow it until it stops doing that, and then jump on another idea. And the things that are meant to happen, if you're putting the effort in, they will be in flow and they will take you to where they need to go. That might have been rambling. What is your educational background and what would you do if not teach yoga? So that's, again, educational background. I got my bachelor's degree at Montana State University for photography, but then I've gotten 200 hours of yoga training with Embodied Flow about 5 years ago, another 100 hours with them that same winter, and then a couple years later I went back and finished my 500 hour, and then I went back again and got my somatic movement therapy training. So I have 700 hours with Embodied Flow. I've done tons of workshops. I've done this online course through for digital media and marketing with Yale University. Before I went to photo school, I got an online certificate through, I think it was some online photo program. I am such a training junkie. I've done lots of different workshops in regard to photography, especially when I was starting out. Once a year I was traveling somewhere for a photo workshop. I've done business seminars, business workshops. So I think for me, education is something that will never end. I don't think it should. And I think as soon as you think you know everything about something, there's going to be new information, new data, a new niche within the market regardless. So I invest 10% of my income every year to education, period. 10% goes right back into learning. Do that. I highly suggest it. What's my workout routine? Oh my gosh, this is such a fun one because I'm such a mover, and this question came up a couple of different times. Do I do anything other than yoga? And the answer is yes. I live in beautiful Montana where there is endless opportunity to move my body. So I have gone in and out of phases of like, I'm gonna go work out. But above anything, I have a very active lifestyle. I'm constantly hiking in the mountains, I'm running, I'm learning how to mountain bike right now, which is terrifying, but so much fun. I've done a little bit of rock climbing, not outside yet, but that is a goal of mine. But I used to teach yoga at a local climbing gym, and so I got a membership there and kind of learned some ins and outs of rock climbing. Super rookie. I'm not a rock climber, but it's something that I enjoyed learning and would like to continue with again at some point. I have been going to it's not a CrossFit gym, but it's kind of like a CrossFit gym. I don't know. For someone, it's a lot of like different styles of movement. Several times a week I've been going right now. I've also done quite a bit of spin classes. I'm a studio hopper. I'm the person who buys a 10-pack at every single fitness studio in town and then uses them over the course of several months. And so I move every day in some way, even if it's just some stretching or a walk around the block. Or a 12-mile run with friends in the mountains that doesn't even feel like a workout because it's just the lifestyle of being out in the mountains. Are you completely vegan? No, I was at one point, and it was short-lived, only because of willpower, I think. I don't know. But I am fully vegetarian. I haven't had meat in over 3 years, and I can't say for sure whether or not I will have meat again someday. I don't believe in telling other people what they should eat because that's not where my field of study is, and I will leave that for the people who have dedicated lots of years of schooling and education into that. For me personally, the vegetarian diet has been wonderful, and I feel really good, and it works for me. But I have very healthy friends who look at my diet and say I would never do that. So whereas I feel very healthy and fulfilled with my diet as it is, and I look at their diet and say, whoa, that's a lot of meat, like I think that to each his own, and there's no one correct way. And if you really want to know about nutrition, you should study with someone who's studied it. Are there any poses that you still struggle with? Of course. There's so many. There's certain, I'm really working towards certain handstand variations right now. And back bends. People tell me all the time that my back is really bendy, and it is, but there are certain back bends that I'm like, oh my gosh, I could never do that, and that would be really cool. So of course, there are days that I struggle more than others, and days where certain poses feel really possible. How long did it take you to develop strength for all of these balance movements? So I did gymnastics as a kid, which probably does not come as a surprise to most of you. And I stopped doing it around 10 years old. It wasn't like I carried it through competitions or anything like that, but I think it did probably help me with some of the muscle memory and just learning how to move in this way from a young age, and also not to have fear around it. I'm not afraid of falling out of any pose, period. I'm just not. So that is really helpful for me. But I really stopped moving for a lot of years through middle school, through high school. I gained a lot of weight. I was very depressed. I was very anxious. This is a big part of my story into yoga. And when I started practicing, I was about 45 pounds heavier than I am now. And I really didn't have any sort of physical or mental grasp of well-being. And at that point, it was several years of like really dedicating myself to the practice and letting it be a slow process of becoming healthier and healthier emotionally, physically, mentally, all of the things. And I'm still getting stronger. I'm still getting bendier, and I'm still gaining perspective about the practice in a philosophical way as well. So it really is a never-ending thing. Okay, I believe I answered all of these. What's a current challenge for yourself or goal? Oh my gosh, I'm working on the biggest project that I've ever even fathomed working on, and I can't tell you anything about it, which is painful. It's more painful for me than it is for you, I'm sure. So, but there are really massive goals in the works. Andy Austin photo, why are you cooler than me? Andy, no one is cooler than you are. If you guys don't follow Andy Austin photo, go check him out. His photography work is beautiful. He's another Montana photographer friend of mine, and his stories are hilarious. So if you want a glimpse into Montana life, check him out. Any YouTube yogis you get inspired from? I know that Adele is on YouTube, Adele Bridges. Her sequences, her practice is incredible. Highly recommend. And then I have some friends that are on YouTube, and their channel is amazing, and it's got a pretty big following. It's Breathe and Flow. Definitely check them out. Which is cool because they have practices, classes that are pretty specific to men, which I think is awesome because I'm moving from a female body, and I do my best with my understanding of anatomy to offer in modifications always for anyone, but the reality is that my experience in teaching is from this body. So I think if you're a male and you've practiced with me and you've been like, this feels unattainable, definitely go check out Flow. What is your physical fitness routine outside of yoga, or is it 100% yoga? So I did answer that. I do all sorts of things. I'm a big believer in not getting stuck in any one movement pattern, but continuing to try different patterns of movement, different styles of movement, and just continuing to push myself to expand in all directions. That's like a big thing for me. Expand in all directions and not just get stuck in one thing, which really is why I teach in the way that I do. The classes that I teach, the sequences are so funky, and they're always mixing things up, and they're breaking a lot of rules as far as yoga sequences, but it's because I think our bodies are healthiest when we can move in all ways. How do you come up with and remember those playful, original, and long flows? Love them. Those of you who have taken my classes know that I oftentimes don't remember them. I skip a pose or a variation or go back and rewind, and I'm not shy about that at all, because I'm human, and because, again, if we get really rigid in our mind of like, I can only move in this way, and if I do this on the left side, I have to do it on the right, and if I miss one thing, it's gonna be wrong. Like, that's a mental road that I just don't want to go down. I think our bodies are really resilient and really good at learning, and we should be moving in different ways regardless. And I don't get upset if I forget a pose every now and then, which does happen. But coming up with the flows, I don't plan them ahead of time. When I do it, it doesn't work anyways. I end up doing something different regardless. So I really just feel out in my body what, if my motto as a teacher has always been to teach a class I would want to attend. So if my body wants it, I bet there's people out there who would benefit from the same thing. So, but this coming up with sequences, creative sequencing, come to one of my retreats, because I'm going to lead a workshop on that. When did you start doing yoga? I'm down to the last couple questions, by the way. When did you start doing yoga? So I started practicing yoga when I was about 18-ish. And like I said, I was overweight, I was unhappy, I was depressed, I was on sleeping meds, I was on just all of the different, I was unwell, really. And so I made a list of things that I wanted to try. I was Googling like how to eat healthy and how to cook vegetables. And I made a list of like yoga and running and kickboxing and climbing and healthy eating, like, you know, all these things that like might be beneficial for my health, and wanted to find something that I really loved. I did not expect to like yoga. It was the thing on the list that I got to it, and I was like, why did I even put this here? I don't want to do this. And I remember after my first yoga class coming home and being like, it was okay, but I'll never be one of those people that says namaste at the end of practice. Like, I just don't even know what that means. And here we are. So never say never. Favorite parts about Montana? I love this question so much because I took it for granted so much growing up here. And really in the past several years, I am falling in love with the mountains, with being outside. The winters are challenging for me. I do have a hard time in the snow, which is when I run off to Bali and Australia and New Zealand and do yoga over there when it's their summer. But favorite part about Montana at this point is absolutely the opportunity to be out in nature. It is an outdoor playground here, like 100%. It is an outdoor playground. The people here are wonderful, and I can't speak highly enough of it, other than the cold winters. But if you love skiing and outdoor winter sports, then you're set. Can you talk, this is the last question, and it's a great one to end on because it's really important to me. Can you talk about your experience with embodied flow trainings? Oh shoot, it's not the last question. I might have to make a second video. But this is where I'm going to end it. So can you talk about your experience with embodied flow trainings? Embodied flow is the school of yoga that I have trained with. Like I said, I have 700 hours of training with them. Tara Judell and Scott Lyons are the two that have founded Embodied Flow. And the thing that I think is absolutely incredible is Tara comes from yoga background. She has so much knowledge of the philosophy and just really the yoga practice as a whole in its entirety, not just the movement, but the philosophy and the practice in a really well-rounded way that I think is unique right now. And then Scott comes in with a somatic psychology approach. He has a PhD in psychology. Well, I shouldn't even say that. He has several PhDs. I don't even know what they all are. He's insanely intelligent, and I have so much respect for his knowledge base and the way his mind works. So they come together and have created this really incredible mix of like ancient philosophies, tantric philosophy and movement, and then Scott comes in with this body, mind, somatic knowledge and psychology and body-mind connection, and like there's so many pieces that make their school of yoga what it is, and it's so incredibly unique. And I cannot speak highly enough of it, just period, I cannot. I've gotten a really beautiful opportunity to be a part of assisting some of their trainings, which has been such a joy in itself. And yeah, can't speak highly enough of Embodied Flow. I will be leading my own trainings in this next year or so. They will not be Embodied Flow specific, because while a lot of my yoga journey has been influenced by Embodied Flow, I don't necessarily teach exactly that. So when you're taking my classes here, they are not Embodied Flow, but what I would suggest is that you get onto Yoga Glow and you take a class with Tara, because it's unbelievable. And if you ever get the chance to practice with her in person, do not turn it down. It's incredible. But it really is pretty different from what I offer, although my classes are absolutely inspired by Embodied Flow. I'm amazed by the languaging and really kind of the poetic nature of both the movement and the languaging of the practices, and you'll understand that more if you get to practice with Tara. Okay, that was a lot. That was a lot. I don't even know how long I've been talking, but thank you so much for listening. If you have more questions, you can type them below, and I will certainly answer. If you listened to this whole thing, you're amazing. And I'll see you back here for more yoga classes soon. Thank you so much. Namaste.